Radical love. Today's reading is taken from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 20. As Jesus and his disciples were leaving Jericho, a large crowd followed him. 2 blind men were sitting by the roadside, and when they heard that Jesus was passing by, they shouted, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." The crowd rebuked them and told them to be quiet, but they shouted all the louder, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." Jesus stopped and called them. "What do you want me to do for you?" he asked. "Lord," they answered, "we want our sight." Jesus had compassion on them and touched their eyes. Immediately they received their sight and followed him. The documentary film All or Nothing, Manchester City, charts the Premiership-winning 2017-18 season of Manchester City Football Club. At the midway point of the season, one of their star midfielders, David Silva, is going through a distressing time in his family life. His son, Matteo, has been born prematurely at 25 weeks and is being kept in hospital in Valencia. With Silva at his son's bedside, the team plays an important match against Tottenham Hotspur, who are also contenders for the league title. Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola inspires his team with a rousing monologue, reminding them of their teammates' situation. Today, you have to win for one reason. You have to win for David Silva and his girlfriend Jessica. He is suffering with life. If you go out there and you enjoy it for him. And if you go out there and you suffer for him. In recent years, appeals for us to have more compassion for others have been made from various quarters: social commentators on our TV screens, self-help books on our shelves, politicians on their campaign trails. Yet compassion is not simple to define. In Guardiola's words to his team, though, we hear something of what compassion means: to suffer with those who are suffering and to rejoice with those who are joyful. After all, the root of the English word compassion is the Latin compassio, meaning to suffer with. Our passage today describes Jesus as showing compassion to the blind men. The Greek word used, splanchnitzomai, implies a deeply felt and radical reaction. It could be translated literally as moved to his guts. In other words, compassion is a deep-seated and radical form of love that demands we truly share the suffering of those who are struggling. Compassion, then, is not just a buzzword to be used when it is convenient for politicians, journalists, and commentators to try to show how much they care. Instead, compassion is a challenge to each and every one of us to feel the pain of what others are going through. In a society that seems obsessed with competition and wealth, our call is to champion compassion as the only currency that matters. For Christians, it should be at the heart of how we treat each other and act towards the world around us. Still, while entrepreneurial skills are taught in schools to children as young as 6 and 7, compassion is rarely seen as an important aspect of educational policy. And while successive governments talk about compassion in the NHS, nurses and doctors feel that they are forced to sideline it in favour of finance and targets. And while our hearts go out to migrants and refugees who might lose their lives in the bid to reach our country, compassion is certainly lacking in much of the anti-immigration rhetoric we hear in some quarters of the press or media. The reality is that true compassion is rarely in evidence in the institutions that hold sway in our land. Finance, wealth, and power seem more important than reaching out to the marginalised, the disadvantaged. Our society can be individualistic, materialistic, and self-serving. Worse still, we have been made to believe that it is weak and naive to champion love, kindness, and compassion over material prosperity, egotism, and competition. As Christians, we must resist this attitude. Jesus knew that love has nothing to do with weakness or naivety. On the very night he was tortured and murdered, he said, "My command is this, Love each other as I have loved you. John 15. His crucifixion and resurrection gave us that promise that love and compassion can bring profound change. But we cannot expect it to come from outside us, from Westminster, the City, or Fleet Street. Change needs to start in our own hearts. The kingdom of God is within you, asserts Jesus, Luke 17. God's kingdom starts inside and then grows outwards, like throwing a pebble into water. It is the kingdom of ever-increasing circles. Likewise, compassion starts in our heart and then grows outwards, enveloping more and more people, bringing hope and transforming futures. If we are compassionate in our daily lives, we will see the kingdom of God break through into our communities, bringing light to places of darkness, love to those who suffer prejudice or disadvantage, and hope to those who think they have no future. So, to reflect. Consider some of the people we are called to be compassionate towards: the migrant, the person visiting a food bank, the person on benefits, the disabled, the homeless, the unemployed, the prisoner, the sick in hospital, the terrified teenager who's just found out she is pregnant, the workers struggling on minimum wage, and the elderly care home resident who has no visitors. Are we really moved to our guts with compassion? Do we really feel the pain and struggle others are facing? Keep such groups and individuals in your prayers and consider ways you might help them practically, perhaps through committing some of your time or money to helping them.